What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cameron+Deanna. My name is Cameron. Today we are chatting Fabled Set 9 of Disney Lorcana. Got some pretty cool stuff coming. We're adding a Goofy movie. We're adding Dumbo. We're also adding two brand new rarities to the game, which are going to be cosmetic rarities, which is, I think, fantastic, because people will chase the cosmetics, and that should hopefully drive down the price of other cards. But I'm really excited for this set. Fabled is also the first time in Lorcana where the game is going to have a rotation. For people that may not be super familiar with trading card games but clicked on this video anyway, one, welcome. But two, what rotation means is that up to this point in the game of Lorcana, every single card has been legal. Asterisk, there's been one errata and two bans, but other than those, every card from set 1 through 8 is legal. With the release of Fabled, sets 1 through 4 are no longer going to be legal in the core Lorcana format, which is called core, the main format. Those cards will only be playable in Infinity, which is the format that will allow for all Lorcana cards. So what that means is this is the first time in a long time that there's going to be a super major shift in the meta, because a lot of really big cards are going away. And so rather than decks kind of making new homes as new cards come out, but generally speaking, at least in the 2.5 sets that I've played, the meta has really been these established decks, and it's just kind of, can anything new keep up with them? And so this set is going to change all of that. And so I believe Fabled is going to have, I don't have the actual number in the article I'm looking at. I was hoping I could find it real quick. Let's see. Fabled has a total of around 240 cards, and of those, I believe all but 33 of them are reprints. And so those reprints are cards from set 1 through 4 that will still be legal, even though, or because they're getting a reprint. And so it's some pretty exciting stuff there. It means that not everything that's older is gone, but it means that there is going to be some big changes, as most of the very large decks in the meta had some sort of major hit to what their deck currently does. And so so this is really exciting. It's very cool. I'm very interested to see how this is going to get handled by the Lorcana playing community, of how are we going to adjust to this. And then for me, this is also a big deal because I'm planning to go to the DLC, the Disney Lorcana Challenge, which is going to be this format. And so I'm going to be trying to put in a lot of work trying to get stuff figured out, getting reps in against other decks so that I am ready for anything that could come my way at that tournament. And so some really cool stuff there. Like I said, I'm very excited to see where we're going. And then, so my goal for today is that we are going to start out chatting about the new cards. We're going to take a look at those. We're going to be using an article on Star City Games. Unfortunately, Dreamborn is not updated yet, and there's not a great database that we can look at. So we're actually going to just be looking at an article and kind of talking through the cards that way. It's the lesser of two evils, I guess. I've really wanted to use Dreamborn, and I thought about doing this last week, and I was surely Dreamborn will be updated by now, and it isn't. I think from what I've heard, the person owns it may be traveling. I could be wrong there. That was just something that someone random said in a Discord. And so, but yeah, so I'm very excited for this. I'm excited for us to chat through the new cards. And then once we finish the new ones, we'll also do a quick skim through some of the reprints and kind of just talk about ideas and potential decks. And then, we'll kind of just see where we go from there. My at least short-term expectation for myself is that I'm going to be staying on Blurple. We're going to keep playing Sapphire Amethyst. We're going to, of course, see how that shakes out, because one of the big things for me, since I am going to a big tournament, is that I need to be playing a deck that's good. And Blurple has been great, but I haven't invested in getting some of the expensive cards because I'm just playing at locals and stuff like that. And so now I need to actually go and get those cards and be prepared. And then if there is going to be another deck that's going to be like a huge deck that my deck's really bad against, I need to either figure out how to beat it or figure out what else to be playing. And so yeah, it's a very interesting time for me, just because it'll be my first time going to like a huge tournament. But yeah, I guess speaking of small tournaments, I've kind of shown them off as we've gone. I earned my third set champs Jafar over the weekend. At Dallas Card Show, there was a mini set champs that was free to enter. And so I went and played there. There was only 4 Jafars up. And yeah, so I got another one. Try, how's it going? Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. But yeah, so I grabbed my third Jafar. So pretty excited about that. Ended up third place. I technically lost in the finals, but because we only did Swiss, I ended up in third instead of second, just because there was no top cut. And so, but the pricing was the same for not first place. And so, like first place got stuff, and then second, third, and fourth got the same thing. And so I'm pretty excited. Even though it was a small tournament, having a shot at the finals was huge. I lost to someone that I play at locals with in a like bitter matchup. Like he and I were just like joking around about like how bad it was for me. And it's like, I think that like in the best of times, it's like a 35-65 matchup in their favor. And then like this person, he's super good. And so it's just like, it's even worse than that. And I have beat other people playing the deck, but like playing him is just like a slog just because he's such a good player. And he was telling me he even like had a card that he had in like his opening hand that he saved for like 12 turns because he knew he was going to need it. Like he's that kind of player. And so, yeah, thanks, Try. I appreciate the congrats. But yeah, so it was great. It was fun. Got to hang out with my friends. 3 of my teammates went, or as 2 of my teammates went. The 3 of us were there. And then there were a handful of new players. There was a person there. It was, I believe, her first Lorcana event ever. So that was super cool. There was a mom and her son that were both playing. So that was really fun as well. It's great to see families participating. And so I had a great time at the event. And yeah, like I said, I'm very happy with how things worked out and how well I did. There we go. But as we always do with Lorcana for chat, I want to know favorite Disney characters, favorite Disney movies, and then let me know what all you like. If you have a favorite song, let me know those. I will attempt to not sing because I'm bad at it, but let me know what all you like. I did want to show off, sorry, remembering one thing before we get started. Do we have I don't have a picture of I wanted a picture of the epics, the 2 new like super rares. Oh, here we go. I wanted to show it off. Oh, so the new iconics. There we go. But okay, we're going to jump over to looking at cards and kind of going through stuff. And so we're going to talk more about these cards once we actually get to them in the like the actual list. But I did want to show off these. These are the new iconics. So this is one of the new rarities. The other is epic. And so for people that don't know, the way that Lorcana has worked for a while is that there's enchanted cards. And so this is like the fancy alternate art of cards that exist in the game. I believe enchanteds show up 1 in every 4 boxes, which is roughly 1 per case. So if you buy like 4 boxes, like mathematically you're guaranteed to get an enchanted. Of course, that's not how statistics work. But yeah, so these are normal. Then they're adding in epics. This is the same art as the normal versions of the cards, but it's fancier. And then they are also adding in the iconics, which is the new like super mega rare. And so I was chatting with a friend at the tournament, and I think the odds are, so enchanteds are 1 in 4 boxes, which is 1 per case. And I think iconics are 1 per 4 cases will have one of these. And so they're going to be super rare. They are super cool. They're definitely like the new chase cards. If you're a cosmetic like collector. I am not. That's not how like I engage with the game necessarily, but you can bet I will be trying to like open one of these, and the amount of celebration that will occur if I manage to pull one of these is crazy. Yeah, they look so nice. Try. I love the merry-go-round vibe, and I think it's super fun. Yeah, it's just super cool to get to see. But yeah, I love stuff like this. I love extremely rare alt arts because, as I was saying in the intro, people that tend to chase these and being collectors, they then have to open a bunch of product, which then puts a lot of the other stuff into the market. And so it tends to make other cards cheaper when people are chasing cosmetics, which is part of why I've really liked Enchanteds and what they kind of mean for the game of Lorcana as being the super rare cards. And so I am more excited that people will chase these. And like I said, I will hopefully open one. If I open them, it'll be my first ever graded card because, like, you know, I usually do not collect cards. I'm more of like I would much rather like all my cards be in decks to play, but like getting one of these is going to be bananas. And so, but okay, let's go to the top. So in Lorcana, there's 6 different colors of ink. Each color has things that they are good at compared or better at compared to other colors. There are also like hybrid cards, which are 2 different colors. This set has none of those hybrid cards. Locke, how you doing today?
Hello there.
I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. 100% forgot what day it was there for a second. I got it when Tri came in, and then like forgot what day it was when you popped in. I hope you're having a great Sunday, and I hope you are ready for Daggerheart tomorrow. I am super hyped for Daggerheart over on twitch.tv/onegeek411 and over on that YouTube channel. And so, but yeah, let's get into the cards. We're going to chat new stuff. There is still some like wonkiness with what's going on here on the site of like, I think it has almost all of the cards, but I could be wrong because like there's stuff grayed out here. And so, yeah, we're going to just do our best. So this is the mini that is the iconic. So this is like the normal version of that art. And so she's a 4 ink to 4 princess. Princess is going to be relevant later on. Your characters named Mickey Mouse gain support. Whenever they quest, you can add their attack to another chosen character's attack this turn. So support is a cool ability that just like hasn't overly been useful. But if it's something that like, hey, if there is another card that happens to already be good, it having support is like upside. And so people will, we'll talk more about this list in specific later. But during one of my set champ talk-throughs, I talked about this Elsa, or this Anna, that has support and has an extra ability if you have an Elsa in play. And so, like, support is an interesting ability that has just kind of not necessarily found a specific home, just because it kind of needs other things to work out. But I click every tab except the one that I want us to go on. And so, but yeah, that's super cool. She quests for 2 already. So like that's, if you're going to be questing for 2, great. And then also giving this ability to your Mickeys. I said we're going to talk through them in order. What is this actual Mickey's? This Mickey is super cool. We'll talk about it more. So it's a 2 or a 5. So like, that's a pretty big bonus. Like I said, we'll talk more about the actual Mickey later and why there's 2 possibilities for what they can quest or what their strength is going to be. But, and then, I also love Bye Bye for Now as like the flavor name of her ability. Whenever this character quests, you can banish chosen exerted character with 5 strength or more. So this would be super interesting. Like, typically amber is like an aggressive color in Lorcana, typically trying to win the game fast. And so typically struggles with bigger characters because those bigger characters can take out their stuff. And so I'm super interested if this is going to be an effect that is going to, saying if it's going to matter is like a reductive way of saying it, but like the character has to be exerted and has to have 5 strength or more. So that means that they've probably either quested for a bunch or like banished one of your characters already. And then you have to have Minnie survive that onslaught so that she can then quest to banish something. So this is a cool idea. And I think it could be a cool safety valve on the format, but I'm not 100% sure if that is going to be good enough to actually do anything. So, okay, let's take a look at the Queen. So also has support. She's a 2/4 for 1. This is a promo art version of the Queen, just as a call out for why it looks different. So 3 ink, and then has this ability. At the start of your turn, you can choose and discard a princess or queen character card to return a character card from your discard to your hand. So a little tease for Aurora being just below the queen. But this ability seems really cool. Like the fact that it's princesses and queens. She herself is a queen. So if you have extra versions of this card and you wanted to discard them for this effect, that's pretty cool. And then something that's interesting with this is this also gives you an interesting thing of like, hey, if you have 1-drops in your hand and it's turn 5 or 6 and you don't want to play those 1-drops, you can discard them to get another character that was banished or something out of your discard. So that's pretty cool. It's a cool way of like rebuying them. I could see the queen kind of becoming a slog to play against, because like if they have 2, you have to get rid of both of them to keep them from bringing the other one back. And then we'll talk about this a little bit more in like literally 10 seconds. But like this also assumes that you don't want princesses and queens in your discard anyway, which I think is something that could be super powerful if you actually like want to put a princess or queen in your discard. And so like it's not these colors, but going to my Blurple deck as an example, Elsa Spirit of Winter is being reprinted. She is a queen. And so like discarding Elsa Spirit of Winter to then get her back out of the graveyard or out of the discard somehow, hypothetically, like that would be super cool. And that's like a very powerful effect that like you can kind of get upside from putting Elsa in your discard. And so I'm curious to how that is going to work out. And then this gets to Circle of Life, our legendary action for Amber. And so Sing Together 8. So the way that singing works in Lorcana is that cards have an ability or a cost at the top. Characters can sing songs of their cost or lower by being tapped, and then they sing it for free, basically. So instead of paying 8 ink for this card, you could sing with an 8 value character. Now, this has Sing Together, which means multiple cards could sing this at once. So using the example of just like what's on screen, this beast and this queen could both sing this song. Their combined cost is 8. And so that's super cool. And then this lets you play a character out of your discard for free. So again, using this hypothetical Amber Amethyst list, just because that's what I've chose to pick. So like you play queen, discard then on turn 4, discard Elsa, get a different character out of your discard, and then hopefully play something, and then on turn 5 sing with a whole bunch of stuff, get Elsa back, exert 2 of their things. Now you've put an 8-drop character in play on turn 4 or 5, just depending on how quickly you can ramp up to have enough singers. And so like that seems pretty cool to me. Like again, I don't know how powerful that's going to be, but that seems cool. We're going to also talk about a crazy good singer later in the video. And so stay tuned for the Goofy Movie section of the video. But there's definitely some really cool stuff that you can do with this card and just getting back super powerful characters. So then our last 2 new Amber cards are Aurora and the Beast. So Aurora is a 1-drop 1/2, quests for 1. When this character quests, you can pay 1 less for your next princess or queen character you play this turn. So it's a really cool way of ramping, and basically lets you play a 3-drop on turn 2. This is not going to be like a perfect search, because Fabled, as I was saying, is not on Dreamborn yet, but characteristic princess, queen. And then let's look at our 3-drops. So like in Amber, like you could go into Aurora on turn 2, like get a 1/4 that quests for 2. You have this Tiana as well that like protects your princesses. And then we have, what does this Anna do? When you play this character, you can pay. Okay, so that wouldn't be a good one in this sense. Maybe Jasmine. Typically, Jasmine has been too slow, but if you can ramp her out on turn 2, maybe that's different. And then I like this Anna a lot. You would not work here, but we'll talk more about this Anna later. And then what does this Raya do here? During your turn, whenever you put a card in your case, resist 1. That's fine. But like, I do think there's some super interesting things that you can do just ramping into a 3-drop princess or queen on turn 2. Let alone the fact that then like opens up even more stuff on future turns. Of like, there's so many 4-drops here that like give you a lot of options of how you would want to go. Obviously, you can't play these hybrids because you have to be playing Amber, but kind of go into the Circle of Life example, like playing this Tiana on turn 3 gives you access to Singer 6. Like that's a lot of advantage there. So I'm curious. One of my friends and teammates is brewing the princess deck. And then I should also say here, like this can reduce the cost to 1 or from 1 to 0, which is pretty cool. And so like you can also just use this as a way of playing another princess, like another Aurora on turn 2 for free. Like that's pretty cool. And that lets you then use your 2 ink for turn 2 to play something else. And so, yeah, I like that a lot. And then finally we have Beast, your princess character. Oh, he's a 5 ink, 5/4, quests for 1. And then he has your princess characters get +1 strength and +1 willpower. And so, let's say 5 is really expensive for Amber, just in the ways that like Amber has traditionally been played. And so like, this feels like you would probably rather play something else. Like if he gave lore instead of one of these abilities, like instead of strength or willpower, I think that would make a lot more sense, because then you could kind of play Beast and have like an explosive turn where you quest with a bunch of your princesses. But the fact that it's strength or willpower on turn 5, it feels like your like lower drop princesses have kind of gotten hit. And so that feels like a huge struggle. If that is like how you wanted to play this card. But so my anticipation here with the Beast is that he's going to be too slow, but I could be wrong there. And something I want to talk about, I think I hit on this with the Queen, but I wanted to talk about it even more here with Aurora. One of my big complaints about Lorcana so far is that there's a lot of synergies between specific characters. Anna, Elsa, Lady and the Tramp, as examples, but there is not always a lot of characteristic synergy. So like there's, at least in the time that I've been playing, there has never been like a really good characteristic deck. There is like an Amber Sapphire Puppy deck as an example, but it's never like been that great, comparatively to other decks. And a lot of times for those decks, you really just end up playing good Amber Sapphire cards and a handful of puppies. And so something that I like here that we're seeing about these is that both the Queen and Aurora, their ability works for themselves. And so like they are like Aurora is a princess, then pays you off for playing more princesses and queens. Whereas the Queen is a queen and rewards you for playing more princesses and queens. Compare this to the Beast, who powers up your princesses, but himself is not a princess. So you have to be playing a non-princess in your princess deck, which is probably not going to be exactly how you want to go if you want to go that route. And so that's just something to consider as you're deck building. I think I talked about this with, I want to say in set 9, there was a Jasmine. Just completely massacred Jasmine. Yes. Yeah, so this Jasmine is the one. So this Jasmine is a princess, but like her ability is when this character quests, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, you can reveal an ally character card and put them in your hand, put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. So like she is not an ally, but rewards you for having allies, but doesn't even help you find more of her own card. And so that's something that is very like challenging. And then like she has a shift, so theoretically you could get her out on turn 2. But again, the problem here is like as we like look across, like none of the Jasmines are allies. So now you're playing 8 of your 60 cards are not allies. And that just presumes that these Jasmines are your only non-allies that you're playing. And so I think that that's something that has been a struggle with the game, is kind of finding that balance. And so hopefully with us having cards like Aura and the Queen, like we'll be getting some good stuff. And again, there's only like 30 something new cards. And so, kind of getting to see what they are and what their impact is going to be very interesting, since this is like the first time Lorcana has done a reprint focused set. And so yeah, here's our other cards. We'll kind of talk through, assuming we have time at the end, we'll talk through some of the other cards. So let's talk to Amethyst. So of course this matters to me if I'm going to be playing Blurple, Sapphire, Amethyst. So we got our Dumbos, and we have a good number of Dumbo cards to kick us off here with our uncommon Dumbo, who is a 3-drop 2/2, quests for 1, is evasive. So if you played Magic the Gathering, you can think flying. And so only characters with evasive can challenge evasive characters. It's not strictly like flying, like some things are evasive because they're sneaky. But yeah, so that's evasive. And then when you play this character, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. This is a cool way of like protecting one of your characters so you can get a quest in. We'll have to see how relevant this is in the current meta. There's been like just enough evasive stuff that like, or enough removal that like just having evasive doesn't typically say you. How good is Dumbo when behind? That's another question as well. Drizzle, or Drizzy. That like Dumbo, like the problem with this Dumbo is that like if you are behind on board, like maybe you can give something evasive and you can snipe one of your opponent's characters, but with just being like a 2/2 for 3, like you're not necessarily going to be able to protect a character and keep them safe. Most of the time, again, we'll have to see. We're, like the elephant in the room is like a pun, definitely not intended as we talk about Dumbo. The big thing that is like changing in the format is a lot of the removal is going away, and so perhaps giving things evasive is going to be more relevant, just because like a lot of the damaging songs are going away, and so like maybe being evasive will be a better defensive measure if you're behind, as a way of like establishing your board. But yeah, typically I'm not like super sold on the 3-drop Dumbo. Then other end, we're getting another Dumbo. This is a 4-drop 3/3 that also quests for 1, also has has evasive, and then has the ability of exert them, pay 1 ink, draw a card, and gain 1 lore. And then they also give this ability to your other characters. So I'm super interested in this card. Like, I think this is like pre-ordering as like the most expensive non-enchanted in the set. I am kind of excited to see. I don't know if this is going to be a 4 of in Blurple, but like the fact that this card is inkable on top of having this really good ability, and like if you're already playing some number of evasive characters that quest for 1, like this basically just lets you use your ink to do something. There are a lot of times in Lorcana, I even had some situations like yesterday where you just don't necessarily use all of your ink if you're in a ramp deck. And so the ability to have this as an out, to have another way of drawing a card, and still gaining some lore, I think is really cool. This does like put some interesting stress on the 4-drop slot for evasives, where you have this, Iago, Genie, and Pinocchio. Yeah, and so like there's a lot of like cool like evasive characters in that slot that kind of all do something different. And I think that's really interesting. And so I'm curious, like I said, if this is going to be enough to like kind of make up for the fact that like you have to spend ink to draw cards, whereas like Genie draws a card right away. And so, but the fact that like you could play this on a later turn and then immediately gain some lore with your other characters, like that seems pretty, or gain some cards, I guess you could already quest, but I think that is super interesting. You like this card in Blurple where you have, I think this card is going to be much better in Blurple than it will be in the other versions of like Amethyst decks. But even then, like you kind of like do you need the offset of having extra card draw banked for later turns? Like, or would it be better to play something else that like does something more immediate on turn 4? I don't know. Time will tell, and like will definitely depend on how many like lower evasives that you that the deck ends up playing, since you need to have that mana left over. Next we have the Magic Feather. When you play this item, choose a character of yours. While this item is in play, that character gains evasive, and then you can pay 3 to return it to your hand, which you could then use to replay it to give something else evasive. And so this is super cool. The fact that this like permanently gives evasive, like in the sense of like as long as this item stays in play, I think is really interesting. I don't know if there's other cards in Lorcana that do that like put a permanent effect on a character. Like there are cards that give like resist until the start of your next turn, or give your character like there's like locations, and like we have Beast that like gives some sort of like passive pumps. But like this might be like the first time we're like permanently giving a keyword. But again, I say that we have giving support on like mini and stuff like that. So maybe I'm just digging for this as like too niche of an example, but like the fact that like the evasive stays here, I guess, is the thing that is super interesting to me. There is in Blurple, there is Monstro, infamous whale. And so this has the ability of choose and discard a card, ready this character. He can't quest for the rest of the turn. So like theoretically, if like you gave this Monstro evasive, you could quest for 2, then discard a card to ready him. And then for however much ink you have, you could use that to draw a bunch of cards because he's now evasive because of the Magic Feather and Dumbo. Like there's an interesting like synergy there. Is that good? Like shrug emoji? Like it's cute. And it might be an interesting out because like you could theoretically on like if you were able to give like play Magic Feather on with 9 ink in play, and you already have your Monstro out, like give Monstro evasive, and then you have 7 ink. So like that gives you 9 lore on 1 turn, which is a lot to kind of get like semi out of nowhere. Now like we kind of have like a 3-card combo there, but like if that, like I think if you want to be playing like the evasives anyway, it might be an interesting like 1 of consideration or 2 of consideration. I don't know if the actual combo will be strong enough, but I don't know. Next up, we have Timothy Q. Mouse. There's a 2 ink, 1/4 that quests for 1, and then while you have an evasive character in play, this character gains 1 lore. So, like using this as the example, if you have an evasive character on turn 3, like you could then quest with Timothy for 2 lore. That's pretty cool. Like, I think some of the struggle with the I played against an evasive like Emerald Amethyst evasive deck yesterday, And I think the trouble there is that a lot of evasive characters are not as strong, and that's the trade-off for them being evasive. And so if they get shut down, they can get shut down hard. This, and then kind of going to the characteristic conversation that that we were talking about, it's also worth noting that, like, if you want to be playing an evasive deck and you go to play Timothy Q Mouse, you're now playing a non-evasive in your evasive deck. And so, but questing for 2 is a good trade-off. Like, okay, could be worth it. And so, next, as a 5-drop, we have Ursula Voice Stealer with some amazing flavor in this ability. She's a 3/4 that quests for 1. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing ready character. When you do, you may play a song with cost equal to or less than the character's exerted cost for free. So, of note, this does not work with if the opposing character has Singer. You still just get the cost of the card. You don't get the Singer value. But like, this is like, it's situational. Like, your opponent has to have a card with higher cost than the cost of the song that you have in your hand. And you've already probably played Ursula that turn. Well, you've had to have played Ursula that turn. So like, you have spent 5 ink already. So, like, it's a cool effect, and the effect that you can get like a song for free, I think, is going to be really cool. There's also like the value in this card of just being a way of exerting one of your opposing characters. Like, that gives you the ability of like attacking that character with your other stuff, and trying to banish them. Like, that could also just be good. Like, we have 5-drop Elsa in Blurple. That's like rush, evasive, and then when you play this character, exert chosen opposing character. So like, Ursula is like more specific, and kind of like doesn't have that rush side of her, so she's not the one that's going to be attacking in, but does have some cool synergy there, just with the ability to tap something down so you can get them with an attack. And so, yep, this is a song or a card that would be very meta dependent. So like, for example, if there's a lot of aggressive decks that are not playing characters like 4 and above, like, Ursula is not going to be great because your odds of hitting a character that with a song that you want to be singing is lower. But the more like bigger characters there are in the format, the more options you have for what you can hit. And so like, this isn't like a great example because this card is rotating, but like, Let It Go as the example of like, oh, well, if there's a lot of people playing 5-drops, you could exert a card, sing Let It Go for free, and then attack the card you readied. And so that kind of lets you like get a lot of value in one turn, but it kind of relies on a lot going your way. So yeah, I think meta dependent, but I fully anticipate I will get blown out by this card at some point. Next up, Ursula Sea Witch. A 3-ink 3/3, quest for 1. She is uninkable. I haven't necessarily been calling a ton of attention to that. Oh, because like all of these were inkable. But does not have the stuff around her, so she can't be inked. When you play this, or when this character quests, chosen opposing character can't ready to the start of their next turn. I think this effect is really underrated in Lorcana with kind of how the meta has been. Like, the ability to like permanently lock something down so they can just never quest, like, gives you a lot of ability. And the fact that you could do this every turn, I think, is like very strong. Keep going back to my list. You can tell I'm thinking Blurple. Living my Blurple life. Like, there's this Anna Icebreaker. When you play this character, opposing character can't ready at the start of their next turn. It's like that locks something down. There is also Big Elsa, does the same thing, or does a similar thing. Big Elsa actually exerts them. But like, the ability to like lock down something where they just can't quest, and like with Ursula, like theoretically perpetually hold them down, I think is a really cool ability. Like, this could be a cool way of stopping like aggressive starts from your opponent. where you just kind of are like, cool, from turn 4 forward until you can answer Ursula, this character is not readying. And then eventually, once I can banish one of your characters, or that character, I will then use this effect to, I'll quest this character and I'll lock down a different one of your characters. And so I am super interested in that. Like, obviously Fragile is only a 3/3, but like, hopefully she trades into, like, she locks something down and then trades with whatever has to attack her to get rid of her. So I'm interested in that. I think, interestingly, I think that this card may be more generally useful than Big Ursula, but we'll see. Reprints, there's my girl. Elsa Spirit of Winter's back. Let's go. Let's go down. Okay, Emerald, it's time for some Goofy Movie. So we get our first Max Goof. I do believe this is the Max that is one of the headliners for the starter deck. When you play this character, you may pay 1 to return a song with cost 3 or less from your discard to your hand. So 3 ink, 2/2 quests for 1. Ideally, you want to be playing this on turn 4. So like turn 3, you need to have played a song, and then or by turn 3, or I guess by turn 4, because you could sing a song for free before you play Max. And so, but then on turn 4, play this, pay the extra 1, get that song back. Some pretty cool value. Like just the fact that this is just tied in as like a slight upside whenever you play the card. Kind of similar to Go-Go that we have right now. Where like this Go-Go doesn't see a ton of play necessarily, but is a really good card in the decks that do play it, because when you play this character, you can pay 2 to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. So like this is a little bit more reliant on what your opponents are doing, because you have to have damage left on an opposing character. But this can gain like 3 to 4 lore sometimes. And so Max Goof just like having a like more generally applicable ability, because it's always easier to do, because you can control what's in your deck. So cards that work with your own deck are always very strong versus cards that require something happening on your opponent's side. Yeah, so that is super interesting. And then, we'll talk more about Maxes. There's a plot twist. There's more than one Max. And so we'll talk more about that other one later on. So next we have Goofy, set for adventure, 2 ink, 2/2 quests for 1. During your turn, whenever this character moves to a location, you can move one of your other characters to that location for free. If you do, draw a card. So I think this chains. So like theoretically, if you had like 4 Goofies in play, like you could move one, that would move the other, which would then move the other, which would then like, so you could like pull all of them with you and like theoretically draw like 3 extra cards, which is pretty cool. Assuming you don't have another, like a 5th character at the end of that. And then if you have 2 locations that are relatively cheap, like on one turn you can move them to one location, and on the next turn you can move them to the other location, and kind of just have a way of drawing a bunch of cards. So like that seems interesting as well. I don't know if there is a location in the game right now. And this is again not going to be a perfect search. There are some locations that are getting reprinted, but let's just see for the ones that are not. Oh, type, location. So like, is there a location, what is this? Oh yeah, so this, like, if a character is banished while here, you gain lore. Like, obviously you don't necessarily want your Goofies to be banished, but like, but I think this Rapunzel's Tower gives them extra defense. This lets you move damage elsewhere. Damaged characters gain 1 lore, or 2+2 lore. So like that'd be harder with Goofies because they're just 2/2s, but like theoretically if you could put 1 damage on them, you could then move a bunch of characters here and quest for a whole bunch. It's only 1 to move there. It's like theoretically that could be good. 7 Doors Mine, like this would ping something when you move there. Like there's some interesting options. Characters banished from here draw a card at the library. Characters with support. Like, there's some interesting ideas here. Deal damage equal to the number of characters that are here. Like, that could be another cool one. Like, move a bunch of stuff to Treasure Mountain. That's probably too slow, just since this is a 5-drop and then requires 2 lore to do that move. But some cool stuff, and can get you some good value. You then need to like convert those cards into something. Like, you need to have something to get to that's good, that warrants playing Goofy in these locations. But it could be an interesting like synergy piece. Next up, we have the family fishing pole. You can do the perfect cast, which I just love. Like, love that they put that on there. And there's a hair on my mic. There we go. And so, watch closely. This item enters play exerted, and then exert 1 ink, banish this item, return chosen exerted character of yours to your hand to gain 2 lore. So, like, kind of a one-shot ability, but like, it's kind of an interesting synergy here of like quest with max goof. So to gain a lore, use the fishing pole, bounce max goof to your hand, replay max goof to get a song back. Like, that's some cool like value. Like, being able to bounce your own characters also lets you challenge into your opponents pretty efficiently. That's one of the reasons like the Amethyst decks have been really good. Since they play like Madam Mims, they let you like, oh, I'm going to challenge into this card or quest freely, and then just like bounce it to my hand and replay it. So it's a very cool effect. And then if there ever is a character that like when you play them, you can get an item back, that would let you like grab this out of your discard, either put it in your hand or put it into play, and like that would be a very good synergy. Genie, a 4 ink 2/3, quests for 2. They are evasive, and when this character is exerted, your other characters gain 2 strength. It's weird to me that this is a super rare. Like, this effect definitely seems powerful of like quest for 2, power up your other stuff, be able to attack into your opponents. But like, or even I guess this works on defense. Like, this helps you defend because it doesn't just say on your turn. So like, definitely makes it very powerful. Loops with Tamatoa 6-drop. Thank you, Justin. I knew there had to be some like, but yeah, like especially with us losing Possicle. So like that gets you like for 8 ink or 9 ink, I guess, which would not be impossible in like a Sapphire deck there. Like, because you need to be able to like activate this to bounce Tamatoa, and then play Tamatoa, replay this, and then the next turn you can do the same thing. That gains you 4 lore a turn, puts an item in play for free off of Tamatoa as well. So yeah, that's a very interesting like set of ability. Lets you snipe lore, which is always powerful. Like lore that's not like, or that you can get in addition to your questing, is always very powerful as well. And so, let's see. Next up we got, oh yeah, so back to this Genie. Again, really confused that this is a super rare. It just doesn't seem like it would be one for me, but like I also don't know game balance. And so, but yeah, the fact that this works on defense, I do think is very powerful. That was, I think, something that I missed until like literally just now. And so like this powering up so you can like threaten bigger trades if your opponent attacks into you could make this an interesting like curve topper. Panda boy, thank you for that sub. How you doing? 31 months. Appreciate you bunches. Panda, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077, making some good progress. Things are happening in the game. We'll talk about it sometime. But yeah, I could see this being a cool curve topper for like an aggro deck, where you're like can kind of play this, then on turn 5 quest with a whole bunch of stuff, and then have like again a huge threat that your opponent has to try to answer. Yeah. Next up, we got Max Goof. So this is a shift max, 6 ink, 4/5, quests for 2, shifts for 4. And so our other max is a 3, but although theoretically you would want to play this one, which I think was a challenge. Questing with Tom coming in with a great comment. Genie does synergize really well with Lady. You can tell I do not play those colors. But yeah, so this gets 1 extra attack for whenever you play a character, and then when it has 3 strength or more, she quests for 2. Yeah, that's a really cool synergy. That makes it much easier to activate that extra ability on Lady versus like having to play 3 different characters. Great call. And so yeah, so for Max Goof, like theoretically you can play this Goof on 3 into the other one on 4, although again, ideally you want to be playing this Max Rebellious Teen on at least turn 4 so you can get a song back. But so shift into this. Whenever this character quests, you can play a song with cost 4 or less from your discard for free. Put it on the bottom of your deck instead of into your discard. And so good rider there, good like protection, making it so that you're not going to be like constantly having to deal with people looping the exact same cards. And let me tell you, aren't we glad that a lot of the discard stuff isn't getting reprinted? Like again, like this is not a perfect search just because it hasn't been updated, but like you're welcome feels like, oh, we're gonna just get rid of your thing. Sure, you draw more cards, but we'll build to bend to my will. And yeah, I'm really interested to see like what all the options are going to be there. And so, but yeah, I think that effect is going to be super cool, and is going to be a huge challenge, especially as a 4/5. Like, if they shift this, there's a good chance that they're getting this. Like they're getting 2 lore, a free song, and it's potentially taking you 2 of your characters to take them out. If you need to stop them from getting that value for future turns. And so I think Max is going to be a super interesting card. Next up, kind of a bit less interesting, but great with the Maxes, is Bobby, the Spray Cheese Kid, the Leaning Tower of Cheesa. A 1 ink 1/2 quests for 1. When you play this character, you can draw a card and then choose and discard a card. There's a lot of this style of effect. A lot of times they're in steel, so it's interesting to see another one in Emerald. I think there might be 1 or 2 other ones. I could be wrong. Emerald is like not my color. It's probably the color that I'm like least familiar with because it's a color I don't play, and it's a color that is rarely played at my locals. And so but the fact that this like ideally can like put a song in your discard to then get back with maxes, or use to get something in the discard for this Max Goof, I think is super cool. It could definitely be a good role player. This kind of goes into what we were discussing with the new Queen, with her ability of like discarding a card to get something back. And then if you have value in getting the Queen or Princess out of your discard a different way, like that just gives you a lot to work with. That's kind of where Bobby lands. Like a very interesting synergy piece, just because they really build off that. Like if you can build off the discard not being a disadvantage, like you can definitely do a lot. Next we have Stand Out. A 3-drop song works with Max. Chosen character gets 3 attack or 3 strength and gains evasive until the start of your next turn. I love the evasive as he's swinging around. I definitely need to go back and rewatch Goofy Movie. I have not seen it in quite a while. And so this is cool. For a card that is supposed to synergize with the Goofs, or like the Max Goof, and we'll talk like Goofy Movie stuff later on also, like kind of wish it did something a little bit more. Like it doesn't like strictly synergize with Max. And I kind of, maybe this is just me again, not being a game designer, but just having hopes and dreams. Like maybe that's too powerful, but like if this could do something with, even if it was just like that ready a character, they gain evasive, they can't quest until the end, for the rest of the turn. Like I think that could lead to some interesting stuff. Maybe too powerful, but I think that would be super cool. Let's scroll through these reprints. And let's talk some more Goofy Movie with Eye to Eye. A 9-cost song that has Sing Together 9. I think the most expensive card in the game. Like, I don't even think, again, clicking every tab except for the one that I want. Like, I think we have one 10 drop, which is Big Mickey. Am I wrong? Oh, there is another actual Sing Together 9-cost song. Well, look at that. Another one. So there's a handful of 9-cost songs. Okay, we have Chernabog, who's only like nominally a 9-cost. We have Taka. Oh, there is a Sing Together 10. Oh, look at that. Chosen player draws 5 cards. And then Big Mickey, and then the Mob song. Okay, so there's a few like other like high value songs, but definitely more than I thought there were. But I think that this one, probably of those big songs, has the most chance of seeing play. Each player draws 2 cards and gains 2 lore. If 2 or more characters sang the song Ready Them, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. But what they can do is sing for the rest of the turn. So like, this is a cool like buyout of like, hey, you're going to like sing the song, ready your characters, you're going to draw 2 cards. Sure would be a shame if you drew another eye to eye and just did the exact same thing again. Like, of course, do have to be careful that like you're not pushing your opponent over the lore to get the win, but definitely some really cool synergy here. Which is like the ability of like readying characters so that they can sing the songs that you drew. We'll talk more about eye to eye in 2 cards. So next we have our Mickey Mouse. We talked about the iconic earlier. This is the normal art. Mickey is a 3 ink 2/2, quests for 1, and then has shift 5. So normally shift is like roughly 2 less than the cost of the card. So this time we're seeing a shift that is 2 more than the cost of your card, which seems bad. I wonder why you would ever want to do that. This Mickey also has evasive, so they can challenge readied characters. And then while this character has a card under him, he gains 3 attack, 3 willpower, and 3 lore. So if you shift 5 on this Mickey, he becomes effectively a 5 ink 5/5 that quests for 4, which is pretty cool. There's already some really cool Mickey synergies going on, mostly because of like Big Mickey, which we actually have here on this, like this big one. Clicking all the things. Bodyguard, and then quests for 5. And then when this character is banished, deal 5 damage to each opposing character. And so like because of that, and then there's another Mickey, Mickey Mouse. There's another, I think he's a 2-drop. Yes, this Mickey. Inspirational Warrior. During your turn, when this character banishes another character in a challenge, you can play a character for free. And so, there's already a bit of like Mickeys going on. This 1-drop Mickey with resist 1 is pretty good. Doesn't see a ton of play right now, but is good in some matchups. So I would love for us to see a lot more Mickeys around. I think that would be very fun. Brave Little Tailor is one of the iconic cards just from set 1. Iconic not in a rarity, but in an actual memorability. Turns Mickey into Brave Little Tailor Mickey. Oh yeah, look at that. Very good catch. And so, yeah, so the ability to shift this also, again, clicking every tab except for the one that I want. Very good call there, questing with Tom. And so, but yeah, the fact that this shifts also, that means that you can get that 4 lore right away. And then this is also a Mickey that you could play one of these on turn 3 and then play the other one on top of it on turn 5. Whereas a lot of times in Lorcana, you very rarely actually want to shift a card onto themselves, just because you don't typically gain a lot of value. And this one, you could actually gain some value doing that, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm really interested to see this Mickey is definitely one of the cards that I'm very interested to see if this will see play. Just because it seems like a very strong effect on an already evasive character. And so, if you can, get 2 quests in with this Mickey, turn 5 and turn 6, that's 8 lore. Seems pretty strong. Let's get into our power lines as our next cards. We're going to actually go out of order. We're going to talk about them in rarity order. So we'll end on this one. But so we have a 2-drop power line, 3/2 quests for 1, has singer 4. Cool. Big deal because there haven't been singers in Ruby before. And so that's a big part of this card. And then as we'll see with this, the big power line, he does have shift 4. And so having a place for him to go onto is pretty cool. And then we have our 3-drop power line. 3-drop for 3, quests for 1. When you play a song this turn, this character gains rush. Or if you played a song this turn, this character gains rush. So it's kind of weird because like you need to want to give this card rush and have the ability to play a song. Like by no means like an insurmountable amount of like things that you would want, but like is just like a really weird value piece. Like so like obviously you could like play this power line, play the 3-drop on turn 3, sing a 4-drop with this power line, and then like now this one has rush and can challenge something. But you kind of do just need to have a situation where you want to have all of that. That being said, he is a 4/3, which is pretty good. And so a 4/3 on turn 3 with potential rush is definitely a good place. And so both of these go great into Powerline World's Greatest Rockstar, a 6-ink, 6/4, quests for 2, shifts for 4, has singer 9. And then once during your turn, when this character sings a song, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You can reveal a song with cost 4 or less and play it for free. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And so obvious like intended synergy piece with Eye to Eye of like you use this power line and one other thing because you can sing together. Or you can oversing singing, I guess, typically. But like, so use this in another card, sing Eye to Eye, draw 2 cards, gain 2 lore, ready power line and the other card. Then you get out of the bag, pull out the mashup, look at the top 4 cards, sing another song for free, and then you have drawn 2 cards, gotten a free song, and your cards are all still ready. And so lots of cool stuff there that you can then do. We haven't necessarily been talking a ton about reprints, but we do have a reprint for A Pirate's Life, which is another sing together song where you gain 2 lore and your opponent loses 2 lore. And so obviously that works great with Eye to Eye giving additional lore. So like you could hit ideally off of the mashup, but like you could also just draw into it off of Eye to Eye. And then like the fact that he is a singer 9 that you can sing with on turn 4, I think is going to be super powerful. I was talking with my teammates. I think I'm like newer to Lorcana. I started with Azurite C. But like, I think there's a good chance this power line is the strongest like starter deck card that they've printed so far, when it comes to just like kind of being like the headliner of a deck. Again, pun most definitely not intended. But like I think the 5-drop Elsa that exerts was in one of the starter decks, but like while a great card, one of my favorite cards, like that Elsa doesn't necessarily like headline or like lead the deck. She's just like a strong piece in it. Whereas like I think that we will see power line decks built around like this card and like the insane stuff you can sing on turn 4 with this card. And so I think there's a good chance that we see like at least 2 power line decks, potentially like Ruby Emerald or Ruby Amber. I think there's like a very solid chance that happens. And there's just a lot of great options here. Something that wanted to call out is like we had Circle of Life over an Amber, which gets you a character from your discard for free, which you could use to get your power line back if you're in that shell. Like if you're in the Ruby Amber shell, of like use that, buy back, use a power line to get a power line. Then the next turn you can power line even more. Like, that seems very strong to me. And I'm curious if a lot of decks will have stuff that they can use to hold that back. And then we are also getting, I never remember the name of the card. It's a green song that banishes cards, or it puts cards on the bottom of their opponent's deck. Under the Sea. There we go. Put all opposing characters with 2 strength or less on the bottom of their opponent's deck in any order. And so, clicking everything again. And so I think that could be a super interesting thing of like, shift power line, sing that song, get rid of your opponent's aggro pieces. You should be stabilized by turn 4. Like, that should get rid of a lot of stuff. And it's not like they should be at like 18 or 19 lore. And then now you just have this extremely big value piece that, like, if you don't sing with him, like, quests for 2. Like, this card just like casually questing for 2 seems very powerful. Going back to Blorple as the example here, it kind of reminds me of Monstro, where like, yes, like Monstro is like a machine gun that takes out a bunch of your opponent's characters, but like also quests for 2. Like, there's plenty of times where it just like this card casually questing for 2 just like gets you there. And so I think Powerline kind of falls into that. I think there's a good chance at some tournament we're going to see on camera someone misplaying Powerline, where they go for like singing with him where they should have just quested. Is that person going to be me? Maybe. But I think there's a really good chance that we see like the intricacies of when you're supposed to quest with Powerline versus when you're not. Because I think like, it seemed good to take the songs, but that you shouldn't, really having the 2 extra lore would have won you the game or something like that. But I think that's going to be super interesting. And I think hindsight will be 2020 with those. Because, like, of course, like, well, you missed the Pirate's Life or whatever. So I do think it's also interesting here that all the power lines don't have characteristics. They're just Storyborn or Floodborn. I just noticed that. I'm surprised there's not like a musician tag or something like that. Like, I'm surprised that there's nothing there. Or an ally, like this PJ is an ally. Like, huh. But speaking of PJ Pete, 4-drop, 3/5, quests for 1. When you play a song, this character gets 2 strength this turn, which stacks. And so, like, theoretically, this PJ could get really big and then take something out. That seems fun. Probably too slow. Just in terms of like I feel like if this PJ quested for 2 versus the power line, or like compared to the power line, like, and you just had that out of like, they apply a lot of pressure on when you're on offense or can like take out a opponent's big thing, I think that would be pretty cool. But I think it's going to be too slow with just questing for 1. I feel like you'd probably much rather just have other singers than play PJ. Another Max Goof, this time in Ruby. Max Goof Rockin' Teen, a 3 ink for 3, quests for 1, has Singer 5. This character can't move to locations. I just want to stay home. Very cool effect. A very interesting like flavor. Like, is a downside, but fits in pretty well with like the shell that we have so far of this like Ruby Singer deck. Just having the ability here to like, you have Powerline on 2 to sing 4 drops. Then you have Max Goof on 3 to sing 5 drops. And then you have Big Powerline the next turn. This also can like put in stuff for the Emerald Max Goof to then get out of the graveyard. And so some interesting synergies there. So next up, Roxanne, Powerline Fan, 2 ink, 2 3 quests for 1. While you have a character with Singer in play, this character gains 1 strength and 1 lore. Again, just casually quests for 2. Like, obviously, like, cool synergy here with Max of like, you can play this Roxanne on 2, play Max on 3, and then Roxanne is powered up. Or of course you can always like then play Powerline or whatever. But like, the fact that this just quests for 2 on a 2-drop is pretty strong. Like, as long as you want to have enough singers in play to power her up. So that's Ruby. Let's go on to our next color, Sapphire. Let's go. My home. We already talked to Amethyst, but we got Cruella de Vil. 3 ink, 2/3 quests for 1. Once during your turn, whenever a character with cost 2 or less is banished, put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. Very weird effect, because you have to be challenging with your 2 or less cards and on your own turn for them to then be banished or have them get banished a different way. As a cool piece of synergy, the generic Dalmatian puppy card is a 2-drop. So it's oh, well, if your Dalmatian puppies get banished, she turns them into a coat. So that is super interesting. Could be really cool in an amber sapphire list, since that's where puppies live. But yeah, again, a very interesting effect there. And so something like patch on 1, another patch on, ideally 2 more patches, but another puppy on turn 2, and then on turn 3, you can play Cruella, and then if that 2-drop puppy were to somehow have an accident, you get it in your inkwell, and you have 5 ink for turn 5. Pretty cool. And then during your turn, each opposing character with cost 2 or less has -1 strength. Again, kind of a weird ability there, because you want them to actually have more strength, because you want your 2-drops to lose that trade, or at least go 1 for 1 in that trade. So making your opponent's characters weaker during your own turn is kind of a weird ability there. Also, most less than 2-drops that are played are aggressive questers, and so giving them lower strength isn't necessarily a good thing, but maybe that's something that can help with trades. Also realizing that there's just these 2 cards that they have here. Next up, we have Mulan. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You can reveal a princess and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So very cool with the amber princesses that we're seeing. Again, Mulan herself is a princess, so this helps you find more Mulans, and then this effect being something that you can do turn over turn, where you can just kind of constantly be grabbing more princesses for free before you decide how you want to use your ink, is very powerful, or could be very powerful. Is expensive, we kind of talked about this with the Beast, who was a 5 ink, but this 5 ink actually has synergy, because it would be a princess in the deck that wants to be playing princesses. So I do think that if I was going to play one or the other, I think I would much rather be playing Mulan than Beast, but just because I like card advantage. Let's see, what are we missing? We're missing this Alice, it looks like, which is in a different language on this. Let me see, Alice. Okay, when you play this character, a 4 ink, 2/3, quests for 2. When you play this character, you can put chosen item into its player's inkwell face down and exerted. So kind of half of Cusco. It's Cusco does item or location. And then when this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -2 strength this turn. So going to be very situationally interesting. One of the problems, and I talked about this in one of my set champ reviews, one of the problems with Cusco as a card is that there's not a lot of decks playing items or locations, but the decks that are playing them, it's a problem. And so having Cusco is a really good card for that matchup, but is mostly dead in other matchups. Alice is more specific, only hits items, but is 2 cheaper. And so definitely going to be a meta call. In terms of what are the other decks? Are the other decks actively playing items? And is there enough other stuff in the meta to warrant putting this card in as your 4-drop? Since we do have Maurice's Workshop rotating out of the format, this card would have been amazing in this this current like set 8 format that we had. Like, but I just don't know, like, with how things are going to shake up, I just don't know if there's going to be enough items that you're going to want to hit. And then like the trade-off of like making your opposing characters weaker for one turn, it's not like a great thing because like you have to quest and then have characters you want to challenge with. But I don't know, could be interesting. I could see this, like, as someone again who's probably going to be playing Blurple, I could see this being potentially a card that comes in like as like a meta call for a big tournament, of like just based on, hey, I think other people are going to be playing X deck that plays items and I need to be able to answer those. Cool, I'll play this card. So and then yeah, I think those are the only Sapphire cards. Like, I don't think either of those are Sapphire, but maybe there's another Sapphire rare. I don't have an easy way of checking that. I think this Madame Uli is a reprint. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, with Dreamborn being the way it is right now, it's kind of hard to know like what is where. And so, okay, let's go down. Oh no, there's that Madame Uli. Okay, so that card was a reprint. I was correct. Okay, Steel. So we have a Steel Jasmine. Jasmine, Fearless Princess, a 5 ink, 3/7, quests for 2. During your turn, this character gains Evasive. And then choose and discard a card. This character gains Challenger 3 this turn. That's really cool. Like, if this kind of goes to one of the things that we talked about with Cheese Guy, where like if discarding a card is where you want your deck to be, like this effect could be really powerful. Just because this gives you like a 6 strength evasive character that you can use to take out one of your opponents, and then oops, she quests for 2 also. And so that could be very interesting. I feel like for the time that I've been playing Lorcana, challenging cards are typically not as good. Like, that's just kind of not necessarily where you want to be in the meta. Like, cards that pay off challenging, I guess that's the way to say it, have just like not typically been that strong. Kind of with the asterisk like for Super Goof or Half Shark. Like, those two have kind of been like the exceptions that prove the rules. But like this does seem like you would have a really good ability to hit a whole lot of stuff and is inkable. So there's obviously a bit more of a buyout when, like, worst case scenario, you can ink the card. Next, Lilo, Best Explorer Ever. 3-drop 2/2, quests for 1. When you play this character, your other characters gain Challenger 2 this turn. So like as a 3-drop, you might have 2 other characters in play that you could then use to take something out. Again, most low drop characters though are questers that are trying to like be a threat. So I don't necessarily know if you would want to be questing when you play this Lilo, or want to be challenging when you would play this Lilo. But then when this character quests, chosen alien character gains Challenger 2, and this character can challenge ready characters this turn. So obviously good with Stitches, kind of as the like obvious alien is obvious, as we have Stitch hanging out in the background. But as others have pointed out around the internet, like, we're getting Toy Story soon, and there's a good chance that we'll see aliens from Toy Story as well. And so like theoretically, like Zurg could be an alien. Obviously we'll have like the little green men who will be aliens as well, unless they're just kind of all lumped in as toys as a characteristic. But I think that could be interesting. And then the fact that this lets you like challenging a ready character is not something that happens a lot on cards because it's very powerful. And so having the ability to like have that available, I think, is very powerful as well, if Lilo can stick around. And next up, we got Little John, Sir Reginald, a 2-drop 2/2, quest for 1. When you play this character, choose 1. Chosen hero gains resist 2 or deal 2 damage to chosen villain. It seems way too specific, right? Like, going to our constant characteristic thing, like, Little John is not a hero. He's an ally. So, like, you have to have a hero deck that would want to play Little John. That hero then has to want to challenge because it's only resist to this turn. Or your opponent has to actually have villains in play to deal 2 damage to. And so that just seems like a lot of things that have to go right, but like meta call, like maybe that is worth it. And yeah, I don't know, but maybe. Next up, we got Mickey Mouse Trumpeteer, a 4-ink 0/1 quests for 1, which you will probably never be doing. And then has Exert, pay 2 lore, play a character for free. Like, we were already talking about like the Mickey Mouse synergies that exist with like Big Mickey as like a 10-drop. Like, this letting you just play a 10-drop on turn 5 for 2 ink is super good. Like, there's a lot of decks that would like struggle to get rid of that Mickey. And so like having to have a way of like making sure this character never like can exert, or making sure that like you have a way of getting rid of Big Mickey if they do, like, just seems crazy to me. Like, that's a lot going on. And this kind of just gives you another really cool way of getting Big Mickey out. Obviously there could be some other synergies, like thinking as a Sapphire player, like this lets you play Hades earlier to banish one or to put one of your opponent's stuff in their inkwell. Like, this lets you play Big Elsa. Like, this lets you play Monstro. Like, lots of interesting synergies there, just in terms of like, it turns out playing big characters is really good. And so if you can play them for free, like, that seems great. I could definitely see this card leading to something getting banned. Like, I don't think this is powerful, but I feel like, or this is itself that powerful, but I feel like if there's enough ways to like cheat out big characters, like this cheats on so much lore that I could see this being like either a must answer threat or like, again, a card that leads to something getting banned. Next up, that's Scar. We do not have art for. I think they're on here. Nope, they're not in English there either. Nope, misspelled Scar. Do we have an English translation? Yes. Okay, so Scar is a Storyborn King villain. 5 ink, 5/4. Your ally characters get 1 attack, and then stick with me. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may draw cards equal to the strength of chosen ally you control. If you do, choose and discard 2 cards and banish that character. So, seems pretty cool. Like, you need to have, on their base, you need to have an ally that is 2 strength so that they would want to, sorry, got to ban a bot. So that when you quest with them, they're not like, or when you use this ability, you're not just like kind of tanking cards from your hand, but like the fact that this is a May like gives you the out if you ever want to do that. Obviously this card is itself not an ally, and so you get into the characteristic thing of like, this is a card that you want to play in an ally deck, but it doesn't power up other versions of itself. But like, I mean, if you can get an ally that can get to like 5 or 6 power, that like you can then quest with, and then use this as a way of like draw 6 cards, discard 2. Like, that seems pretty cool. And then obviously you can get into situations where you can get a character that has a lot of damage on it, and then you can banish them to get rid of them. If we look at allies, and then let's look at set. There's 200 allies in the format. That's bananas. What other allies are? Ooh, this works with a giant cobra. If you're in the purple steel, that's fun. So you can play this, gain 2 lore, then draw 5 cards, discard 2. Like, that seems pretty cool. Rhino is an ally? Oh, the more you know. Like, that feels powerful as well. Like, Rhino is such a good card. This gives you a good buyout for that card later on as well. Mushu is an ally. I would love it if Mushu was at a place where it could see play. Bagheera is probably a big one here, since when that card is banished, you deal 2 damage to each opposing character. So that kind of lets you control when that effect happens. And then let's see what else. Yeah, all these other ones are just kind of big. But yeah, and there's a lot more allies than I thought. Like, I did not think there was like over 200, not counting whatever is reprinted and Fabled. Oh, there's 48. Just kidding. But like, total amount in the game, I did not think there was nearly as many allies. And so yeah, like, there's a lot of good buyout. Like, even something here like Mr. Arrow. I guess that only gets you to 2, but like. But there's some interesting stuff. I think the giant cobra would be like my favorite. Or this could like give the Jafar High Sultan of Lorcana, where like, because like a lot of the illusions are allies. So like you have like the Sultan here. So like this gives you a way of like making use out of the illusions that you're playing for free off of that Jafar. And turning those into other cards, which seems pretty fun. And then our last steel card is Nala, Undaunted Lioness, who's a 2-drop 0/2, quest for 2. Then while this character has no damage, she gets 1 lore and resist 1. So like, the first time you quest with her, she should quest for 3. And then assuming they're not able to like knock her out, she'll quest for 2 from then on. Seems really powerful. Like, just the fact that like it can invalidate a lot of smaller characters, and then we're losing like Along Came Zeus, so like we're losing some of the big damage songs. So like Fire the Cannons is still going to be, isn't a song, but is like still in the set or in the game, but that only deals 2 damage. So it's not enough to break Nala's resist and take her out. Strength of the Raging Fire is still in the game, and so like theoretically that could fully answer Nala before she could quest. But I do think that there's like a lot of very cool like powers to this card, and this is a card that I definitely think could see play, even if it's like, if you're playing like Amber Steel princesses, maybe Nala makes her way there even though she's not a princess. Like, I could see this kind of becoming like Calhoun, where like this is just like a generally powerful card that a lot of decks, or Smee, I guess a card I'm more meaning than Calhoun, where like Smee is just like a generally powerful card, and so the ability to have this as a 2-drop seems very powerful. Let's keep going. Oh, that's actually all of it. That is all the colors. Oh, look at that. I thought we had one more. Let's do a quick like pass through the reprints. We're gonna not like talk about everything, but and I do think I was looking for an article on this to kind of collect like thoughts. Could not find a good one. But I do think the story here is like maybe even like less of what's being reprinted, and is more of like what isn't being reprinted, where like Be Prepared isn't being reprinted, Big Sisu isn't being reprinted, Lucky Dime isn't being reprinted. Already mentioned like the Damaging Songs, and then like a lot of the Amber Singers are not being reprinted. Like there's some that are, but like a lot of them are going away. Like, and so I definitely think there's some like super interesting like shakeups that are gonna happen, because like 2 of the big decks right now are losing like a good chunk of their cards, and like I don't think like Amber Steel is going away, but I think it's gonna look a lot different. And I think generally speaking, we're going to see a lot more aggression because like Brawl is gone as well. So like all of the decks that like the big removal was keeping in check because they weren't fast enough to like win before a Be Prepared or a big Sisu are now like going to be in trouble. Or we're like are going to now be more prevalent. There we go. They're no longer going to be in trouble because those cards are gone. And so this is my or look at this family. This is another one that like this is a card that as a non-Lorcana player, I would have been shocked that this card didn't see play. Just because like look at the top 5, get 2 characters, like basically draw 2 cards and those 2 cards have to be characters. Like that seems super powerful for me or to me. I'm curious, especially because it's on a song, so you can play it for free, like free using your singers, and then play those characters. But I think it was just like generally a little bit too slow, since it requires singer 7. This is like one of the cards that I'm curious about with Powerline, of like, does Powerline just kind of enable some of these like very situational songs that are powerful, and kind of just make it so that they can be a bigger part of like Powerline, like as a character that wants you to play songs. This is a song that wants you to play characters. Like, does that work together? Versus just being like we're going to grab stuff. Like I'm curious about all of that. Let's see. I like this Pluto. Again, one that like I don't think has like in the times that I've playing hasn't seen play. But like a bodyguard that's a shift 5 that heals itself, like, and quests for 2. Like I think there's like enough upside for a card that just like happens to quest for 2. So we have this Ursula as a singer 4, again kind of helping if you do that, the Amber Ruby power line. Stitch Rockstar, when you play this character, when you play a character with cost 2 or less, you can exert them to draw a card. Like again, like seems cool. Like this is a card that would be curious if like if it's seen play in the past, like being from set 1 of like basically like on turn 5, can you play several characters that you want to exert them all to then draw a card and then not have them get like immediately killed? I don't know. But also like, hey, quests for 3. Cinderella, singer 5. We got our stuff. So for Amethyst, very excited about Elsa, Spirit of Winter. Talked about that one earlier. I feel like Amethyst Ruby got very lucky with our reprints. Or Amethyst Sapphire, got very lucky with our reprints. We basically got like the hits that we wanted, and then like as someone that like hasn't wanted to buy Tamatoas, like Popsicle not getting reprinted also was a big thing for me because it means I don't have to buy those. And so shout out to Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard being back and also getting a Enchanted. Let's see. I think it was Rules of Villainy was talking about Magic Mirror as like a card that like had seen play before. But now there was just much better ways of drawing cards. I'm curious if like smaller format, does this creep back into play? 4 ink to draw a card feels like a whole bunch, but like, let's see. Or even like this Queen, like a 5 drop to draw a card, but like can exert to draw a card. Second Star is getting a reprint again. Like, I don't like just being like Powerline, but like Powerline doing 9 of the singing here just means that you need one other character that can sing, or just one other character. I guess. Oh yeah, I guess can sing. There are some that cannot do sing songs. But the fact that this could then be like draw 5 cards and then get a Powerline for another free song that costs 9 or less, like seems cool. Like, let's see. When this character quests, you shuffle into the deck to draw 3 cards. Interesting. Probably too slow. Like, again, this kind of hits to something that we're talking about with Dumbo, where like you have to want a card that will pay you off with cards later versus getting those cards right away. And so let's see. Oh, I was looking at this Camilo. I think this is super interesting. Like the fact that like it can quest for 2 or can be a challenger. Like there's already some cool Madrigal synergies. And so I feel like Madrigals have just like, again, kind of being a like characteristic that is just short of just like, it's an interesting deck that just like isn't powerful enough. Like, but having a card like this stick around that can either help you get rid of opposing characters or can quest for more seems good. And then I like this Dolores as well. When you play this character, if an opponent has an exerted character in play, you can draw a card. She's a 3/3 that quests for 2. Like, I could see like this seeing some play just because a lot of times your opponent's going to have an exerted character, or you could play a different 4-drop in Blurple. And so, like, I don't necessarily think she's powerful enough, but like, maybe. I've already seen some people putting Cusco into some of the aggro decks that are going to be in the format, just similar to Diablo, replaces themselves. And then, let's see, Emerald. Hello, Deanna. Let's see. This John Silver, I'm surprised this is the reprint they went with for Emerald. When you play this character and whenever they quest, chosen opposing character gains Reckless until you're their next turn. They can't quest and must challenge. Like, I don't necessarily know what all else, like, in Emerald people were looking at. Like I was saying earlier, like, I feel like that's, like, one of the colors I know the least. But, like, this one just seems weird to me. That was the choice. I'm glad it wasn't Diablo. Like, let me tell you that. But, like, I do think that that's really weird. And then, let's see. This Cusco is another one of the cards that, like, when I wasn't a big Lorcana player, like, if you would have told me that this card doesn't see play, I would have been super confused. Just like the ability to quest for 3 and having ward, and then when they get rid of it, then like you get to, I don't like that bird. Like you get to get rid of the thing that's getting rid of Cusco, but like the fact that it's 5 and it's uninkable, and then there's like you can challenge with like a card that you don't want to lose and then follow up with one that you do. Like, again, like it's interesting. This Prince John I think is super interesting. There's a card that's like whenever you shift, you deal 1 damage to opposing characters. Then Prince Philip gets rid of all opposing damaged characters. So like I could see that being something that's like a really cool effect. Ursula is back to strip songs. I think this Ursula is going to be a huge role player in the format. Just with, like, again, as I'm like predicting, and again, I could be completely wrong. But like, I just feel like there's going to be so many power line decks that like Ursula Deceiver is just going to be a huge card, as a way of trying to strip songs from that deck. Yes, Under the Sea has super cool art. Really weird of like, I feel like Under the Sea fits as a name with like the effect of getting rid of your opponent's small characters. But like, I feel like the art does not communicate that at all. Like it seems like such like a happy thing, but really it's like getting rid of all of the fish, kind of in that flavor. And so I do think that that's interesting, which like I guess does happen at the end of that song. But let's see. I'm trying to think what else. Daisy Duck I'm interested in, like, in Sudden Chill, like Prince John is going away, so like the discard payoff will no longer be here. But like I would definitely be curious of like, is there enough like just discard shenanigans between like Ursula, Sudden Chill, Daisy that like, hey, like I can't, like, you can't go bigger than those decks, and so the best thing to do is like make them discard. I hope not, because I hate when discard is a prominent part of the meta, but like I'm curious if discard could end up like being the police of the format, especially if there's a ton of song decks going around. This Hey Hey I think is super interesting. Like when you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their Inkwell than you can play the top card of your Inkwell face down and exerted. Like a lot of people feel like Lorcana has a problem where the person who goes first is very much favored to win. This kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier, where like a lot of times questing is just way more powerful than challenging, and like the payoffs for questing are just so much upside. And so like this being an interesting way of like getting like on turn, like your opponent on their turn 4 like inks and then plays something, then you can play Hey Hey, get a card in your Inkwell for free, and then play your ink for turn, and now you're like tied with your opponent on ink. In terms of them, then they then go to 5 on their next turn. Like, could be cool, but like hasn't really seen play. Of course, there is the it's Ink Geyser, right? Yes. So each player exerts all of their ink. Then each player with more than 3 cards in their Inkwell returns cards at random from their Inkwell to their hand until they have 3 ink in their Inkwell. It's like this could be an interesting like reset piece, and then like on their next turn they like do something, and then you can play Hey Hey and like kind of get an advantage going again. Again, like I know Ink Geyser had a lot of hype going into it and then just kind of never played out, but like and then let's see, going through our reprints, Pirate's Life being back. Each opponent loses 2 and you gain 2. Like Shark still exists in the format, so this becomes each opponent loses 2 and you gain 3, which is very powerful. Obviously is also a song. And so that kind of gives you some very powerful stuff. Again, you can hit it off of Powerline. They need lore removal to like balance the player going second or something. And like lore removal is like another effect that's like been in the game since set 1, but like generally speaking, like at least recently from the time that like Deanna and I have been playing, just like hasn't been powerful enough to like really matter. And I feel like a lot of times is tied to challenging. And again, challenging just tends to not be as powerful. And so, but yeah, Mulan Elite Archer. And I think there, unfortunately, a lot of times the problem is that like lore removal tends to be on decks that are already doing really powerful things, such as a Pirate's Life, whereas like the nickel and dime lore removal just like isn't good enough. And so, yeah, Mulan Elite Archer, 6-drop 2/6 quests for 2, shift 5. When you play this, if you shifted her, she gains 3 attack. And then during your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character, deal the same amount of damage to up to 2 other chosen characters. One of the guys at the shop I play at was talking about this card. I think this is a super fun reprint. Like, again, kind of like unlike some of the other cards that are getting... Oh, and I think this card is getting downshifted. So, like, this card's going to even be more prevalent because, like, she's a legendary here, but, like, isn't the legendary reprint for Ruby. That's Maleficent Dragon. And so I'm glad that we're seeing them kind of downshift some cards just to make them much more accessible. There are people in the Lorcana community that have been calling it downgrading cards, but downshifting rarity is, like, a good thing. And I feel like downgrading, like, implies that it's bad. But yeah, so I think this Mulan is super interesting. Like the fact that like she can challenge, deal 5 damage to 3 things. Like that seems like a lot. And then kind of like what we've talked about before, the ability to hit readied characters is very powerful. Because you only need 1 exerted character to then ideally take out 3 characters. And so I think that's super interesting. Let's Let's see. Oh yeah, his Maleficent Dragon with the new legendary symbol. Shere Khan getting reprinted, I think, is interesting. Like, again, this kind of falls in that category of whenever one of your character challenges another character gain a lore, like, a lot of times that just hasn't been as powerful as it seems like it would be. But like that could change. Like the more aggressive the format gets, the better challenging can become, because there's going to be just more things that are exerted. So I'd be curious if we'll be able to see more of that. Little Sisu is back, which I think is fun. King Undisputed I could see being a very big card, just because like it is a way of getting rid of characters and is a song. Sisu is back, gains 1 strength for each card in your opponent's hand. But I believe the Flynn is rotating, like isn't coming back. That has typically been the payoff with this card. What is this, Ariel? When you play a song, chosen character yours gains evasive until the start of your next turn. Oh, interesting. I feel like I've never seen that card before. 2-drop Simba, Sergeant Tibbs. I like that this Rapunzel is back. Again, this kind of gets into what Deanna was saying in chat of like when you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. It's just a little too slow, but like versus like there is a Jasmine that's like when she quests and each opponent loses 1 lore. Like I'm curious if like some sort of drain effect is gonna be powerful. Tekken Andrew, how you doing? Been looking at restoring the crown for your deck. That's a card that like I've looked at so many times, and I just don't feel like I know what it is. Exert all opposing characters. When one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge this turn, gain 2 lore. It's a cool way of like getting a big burst. 6-drop action that's uninkable is a lot though. Like, that's a lot that has to go right, but like, this could give you a good way of taking out like 3 or 4 opposing characters. That could be very powerful. Like, I feel like if this was just Amethyst or just Steel, then this you could play it with Sapphire and like ramp it out quickly, but everything was like board wipe. This card could be perfect. Amethyst Ruby, yeah. And so I do think there's like some interesting stuff there. Was that Keywisk? I hope you're having a great one. Thank you for coming by. I don't believe I recognize your name, and appreciate you coming and hanging out. Oh yeah, you are a first-time chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming and hanging out. But yeah, it's interesting. Tekken, kind of to your point, like with the removal of like B prep and like Under the Sea being like the biggest board wipe, I'm really curious of like, it seems like there's going to be a lot of like make your own B preps. And so, let's see, what else do we have? I like that this Aurora is getting reprinted. Like, again, don't know necessarily if like this is going to be amazing. Like there was, at one of our like set champs, there was a Amber Sapphire Ward deck that was there, like basically taking advantage of the Steel Song decks, since it was able to like give all of its characters Ward and then just quest for a bunch. And so like, it's cool. Like obviously between Mulan and then the Amber stuff, like Amber Sapphire Princesses could be a good thing. And this is just a way of like protecting your characters, ideally on turn 3. So that could be cool. Hades is back. Really hoping we get a price drop for him, because I do not have them and I need to get some. Let's see. I like that this is another card that like I think is interesting. Like this bell, like when it quests, you can pay 1 less for the next item. Like just like doesn't tend to be powerful enough. Like reducing the cost of your items isn't nearly as good, especially when there's been other cards that just like play items for free. But Hades might shoot up. I'm hoping that increase in supply will lead to a decrease in Hades costs. So that is my hope. That like all the people that currently have Hades will gain extra Hades that they no longer want and will want to get rid of them for cheaper. Now Tiana's all the rage. Maybe Amber. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool options for the Amber Sapphire princesses. Heart of Tafiti. I played this in my first Lorcana deck that I took to my very first set champs. It was my first time playing against like not Deanna and not playing against like people I knew with starter decks. And I played this card because I didn't have Fishbone Quill. It's bad. Like just like having to pay 2 compared to Fishbone Quill. But like, man, it would make me so happy if this became a card. Like just because it's like I was playing it. Let's see. Here, dig a little deeper. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Put 2 into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I mean, again, I hate doing this every time, but like Powerline sings this and like then gets it for free. Like unlike the character one, this just gets you to any 2 cards. Like that feels powerful. Steel Big Tink is back. I think that's super fun. And so this is the ability to like ping a bunch. Like there were cards that we talked about earlier that like care about your opponent's characters being challenged, or being damaged, like the Prince Philip. And so I do think that that's like a fun card to still be in the game. I like that Binja is back as well as a way of like policing items decks. We have Strength of the Raging Fire and Fire of the Cannons as our like 2 major like spot removal reprints. I like that they were getting the Captain Hook back to get you more Fire of the Cannons. I like that I Find a Malplatinum is back as a way of getting rid of items again. Like, again, we'll see if there's... I like that we have this like as a relief valve in the format, even if there's not necessarily going to be a huge items deck. Like, I just like that this is a thing that is playable and is something that you just always have to consider. Lawrence being back is cool. Big Tink is an ally as well. Maybe there's a combo with Red Tinkerbell plus Scar. What is Red Tinkerbell? I 100% almost just searched. Oh, with this one. Yes. I agree. I like this Tinkerbell as well. I do think that that would be a super interesting deck of like this Tinkerbell into Scar. Is this one an ally? That one is an ally as well. Like you obviously wouldn't necessarily want to like sacrifice it to Scar, but that is a great call out that they are allies. And here, like just kind of as another example, like Quest for 2 with Lawrence, banish it to Scar, like draw 6 cards, discard 2. Like, that feels pretty cool. Just as, like, a surprise ally. Robin Hood. Let's see. I'm glad that this card's back. I don't necessarily know how crazy it's going to be. But I like that this John Silver is back, just to give, like, the location decks a payoff. A cool Michael Mouse. One of my teammates without really likes Tiana and is upset that there's not like a great inkable Tiana. And so when this one got confirmed for the reprint, like I posted this in the team chat. I was like, hey, we finally got an inkable Tiana. Without a 1-drop Robin Hood, not so great. Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't even know what Robin Hoods are around. There's just this one, other than anything that's getting reprinted. That's pretty brutal. Maybe there'll be like next set. Maybe we'll get a Robin Hood. I don't know. Like that feels crazy. Mob Song getting reprinted is pretty cool. Play a song you may draw and discard. Aerial Sonic Warrior, I think, being reprinted is cool. because we're losing so many of the damaging songs, the ability to then turn your non-damaging songs into a way of dealing damage, I think is very cool. And it's something that could be a prominent part of the deck. Again, going to this hypothetical Ruby X power line decks, like this gives the Ruby Steel Singers like a very interesting like way of building, where now you're like singing you're like playing a song off power line, dealing 3 damage, getting another song off the effect, dealing 3 more damage, and like maybe one of those cards is like King Undisputed as well, and you're getting rid of another character. Like lots of super interesting options there. And so I'm glad that the Sonic Warrior is back. Let's look at the Enchanteds. We already talked about the Iconics at the top, but like I have 0 Enchanteds, want some, but I'm very excited that we're getting more. I think this Mulan looks super cool. I love this art. Eye to Eye is very awesome. This Goof is fantastic. I'm actually not huge on the power line, like that specific art. This Scar in the Hamlet pose is fantastic. Honey Wizard, like I love the meme, and I love that they're embracing the meme with Honey Wizard of like this card with super cool art that is just like I hate being like this card is unplayable, but like this card that's basically unplayable, but just has like amazing art, and they're just keeping it going. And so I think that's super fun. This Hades is weird to me because like I feel like you can't see his hair. I'm curious if that's gonna like be like a foiling effect, because that would be really cool. But I think that's interesting. And then yeah, I think the Circle of Life is very cool as well. And this is actually missing, right? Yeah, this is missing Belle. Like I'm so excited. I love this art for Belle Accomplished Mystic that I guess we missed in the reprints, but like this card getting reprinted and then like having this super cool art, I'm so happy about. This is a card that like I'm playing in my Blurple deck. And like I'm super excited that it's getting reprinted, even though like without Possicle we're not playing the free Belle anymore. And so she's going to be much more often like an actual 5-drop versus a shift on 3. But like there are so many fun plays that you can do with this card, because just like moving 3 damage is very powerful. And so and then yes, Tyler, all the Enchanteds for this set I will say is super cool. I like that the Enchanteds for every set have a different art style. You can good call, Kiwisk. It is another Enchanted that rewards you for shifting onto it, or like isn't like a loss if you have to shift onto it. But yeah, I love that every Enchanted has every set has a different Enchanted art style, but man, are some of them not that great. And this sets are amazing. So like even the ones that I'm not a huge fan of that one are still really cool. And then yeah, this is like insanely awesome art. I sent this to my team, and I was like, it might be time for me to start collecting Enchanteds, because I think this one is so cool, on top of just being a card that I love. And then we didn't talk about it, but like Steamboat Mickey Mouse is getting an Enchanted as well. And then were there any others that we missed? Then we talked about the Iconics, and then we referenced them earlier, but like we do have the Epics, as these are like alternate art or like more like stretched out versions of some of the cards. So this is going to be another new rarity that we're gaining. And so like I really like this Aurora art as a whole, and then kind of being able to get like the full art version of it, I think is really cool. I would be shocked if this doesn't end up becoming a playmat at some point. Like this just seems like fantastic playmat art. But like that epic Aurora will be expensive. Yes. Yeah. 100%. Like I think I would not be surprised if this Aurora is like the chase epic. And then as you're saying, Belle will be the chase. I think there's a good chance that I think that going to the power line, I hate that power line's the elephant in the room as we talk about everything, but with power line being in the starter deck, and I believe as a foil, I could see this power line being really chase, just because the foil is going to be so common relative to other foils in the game. And so I could see there being a very big flex on people wanting this power line. The foiling in the starter deck will be different than normal foiling. Great call. I did not know that. Okay. Yeah, that's super good to know. I had just assumed, because I think it's more of a traditional foil versus the cold foil now that you say that. But yeah, I feel I didn't know that. And so, but yeah, so I think that there's a really solid chance that again, I am by no means an expert on the meta. I by no means know what's going to happen. I would say that deck tweaking is one of my skills, not deck building, where I can take a list and I can find ways to make it better in a matchup, but figuring out the meta is not one of my skill sets. But that being said, I think the odds of there not being a power line deck are super slim, at least for set 9. Maybe it's not there in set 10, but I feel there's a really good chance that if power line becomes this staple and is more common, that we're going to see it just kind of become a big deal, and this version will become the chase. Which I'm all in for. Again, let's make the fancy versions expensive and make the normal cards cheap. That's what I want. Same with this eye to eye. I could, again, assuming that this wants to see play in power line, and then that's how Pokemon works. Yeah. And that's one of the things I think that Pokemon has always done well, on top of Pokemon just generally having amazing art. As someone who doesn't keep up with the ins and outs of Pokemon, I'll occasionally watch TCG stuff. I want to go back and watch the World's coverage and stuff like that. I've been watching Pokemon VGC, but I haven't been watching the TCG stuff. But I think a couple years ago there was the deck that won Pokemon Worlds was less than $50 for the deck, but the version that they played at Worlds was $600, with all the fancy versions and stuff like that. And that's exactly what I want in my TCG. I want the normal version of the card to be super accessible, and then have the crazy fancy art. Umbreon is however much $1 billion. And so again, we're going to kind of see that here with the Prince, the Mickey Mouse and the minis, where the iconic is going to be so expensive. But the actual normal version of it is going to be super cheap. So potentially. And so, and this kind of goes to what I was saying about Hades. I hope people chasing these cards makes Hades cheaper for me. But, yeah, that's Fabled. I'm very excited. This is going to end up being my third, buying one case of Fabled, hoping for an iconic. Good luck. Please let me know if you pull it. We'll definitely be back. I have some tournaments coming up in September, that I will be playing in. And so I'm going to do my best to do a tournament review for those. And then now that we're through set champs stuff, I don't think there necessarily is going to be anything in the short term when it comes to that, but I am eyeing a bunch of stuff. And then with the DLC coming as well, I'm definitely hoping to be spending a lot of time grinding Lorcana to get ready for that. So I hope everyone had a fantastic Sunday, and I hope you have a great rest of your day as well. I hope you have fantastic pulls of your Fabled cards, and that things go super well, and you get those iconics that you are looking for. we'll be back. I mentioned this at the beginning. Be back tomorrow over on twitch.tv/onegeek411, my podcast channel, where we will be playing session 1 of our Daggerheart campaign. And so I'm very excited for that. Our players have been having some great conversations during our off time. And so I'm very excited to play some more TTRPGs. And then we'll be back next Sunday, probably not with Lorcana. I don't really know where we'll end up. But maybe we'll do like some Fabled deck building, or talk about some of like the early decks that people have built, assuming that Dreamborn gets updated. We'll see. 'Cause I do want to get like a jump start on trying to understand the meta before things drop, but we'll figure all that out. Kiwisk, thank you for coming by. Tyler, thank you for coming by. Tekken, Deanna, Questing with Tom, Justin, Drizzle, and then of course old friends like Locke and Try and Panda. Appreciate all of y'all coming by. Oh, Kiwisk, thank you for that follow. The GIF didn't load? There's supposed to be a GIF there when you follow. Something. Oh, there it goes. BD1 finally joined us. And so, we'll be back, like I said, next week doing something. Potentially more Lorcana, but we'll figure that out by next week. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your Sunday and a fantastic week. Bye.